Hi, everyone, and welcome. This is going to be a webinar regarding meditation, and also we're going to do some Q&A about stress management techniques. My name is Hera Javed. I'm the Associate Director of Alumni Relations and Annual Giving, and we're so excited to have you guys with us today. And I'm going to go hand it off to Megan Cerezo, and she can go ahead and introduce herself. Megan?
Hi, how are you? My name is Megan Cerezo. I'm the event specialist for the Office of Alumni Relations and Annual Giving. We are really excited to have you all here today. Tonight we're being joined by Jessica Greenfield, who is a counselor at John Jay's Women's Center. And so Jessica is going to be helping us, with tips with stress management. We're also going to do a guided meditation. So we have a really exciting program tonight. Jessica, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Great. Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to see you all. And some of you I can't see because you don't have your video on, and that's totally fine. This is going to be, I'll tell you a little bit about how this is going to go before we dive in. You are absolutely welcome to not have your video on. You might choose to have it off for now and then turn it back on for the Q&A at the end. It's totally up to you. And I also want to say a little before we get started that some of the things that we do to comfort ourselves and to calm down our anxiety when the world is kind of a normal place might not work right now, just because lots of things are different. And so I've heard from a lot of people, and I've experienced this myself, that a lot of the ways that we handle stress generally that work really well for us might not be working right now. So we're going to talk a little bit at the end about kind of troubleshooting some of that and some strategies that you can use. But I say it at the beginning because I'm going to offer you suggestions throughout this meditation of things like close your eyes. Now, you might generally feel totally comfortable closing your eyes or lying down on the floor. And right now, that might not feel okay. And that's okay. So everything that I'm going to tell you today is a suggestion. If I say you can close your eyes or just keep your gaze soft, do what feels right for you today, and try not to question it. Try not to think, well, I normally meditate and I can close my eyes just fine, so why am I, feeling a little uncomfortable right now? Go with what is making you feel okay in the moment. So with that, you can set up your space, and I'll tell you just a little bit about how this is going to go so you can set up your space in a way that makes the most sense. I'm also aware that a lot of us don't have a lot of space, so you can just do the best that we can, right? So we're going to start off sitting, and we'll spend a few minutes just doing some breath work and some seated practice. And then after that, I'm going to give you the option to lie down. We're going to go through today, it's kind of like a meditation sampler. So we're going to do lots of different guided meditation exercises. And my hope is that some of these might resonate with you, and they're each individually or all together tools that you can put in your toolbox and kind of pull out, whether you have an hour, half an hour, 15 minutes, or 5 minutes. So I think it's kind of nice to do this little sampler, and I generally like to do this lying down. You certainly do not have to lie down. You could stay sitting. You could even be sitting in a chair, sitting on your couch, whatever makes the most sense. But I'll let you know when that time comes to adjust your position. We'll start off right now in a comfortable seated position. That might look like legs crossed. Sometimes it's nice to sit on a pillow or sit on a cushion or a book or anything that helps get your hips a little higher than your knees. And then just take a few breaths. You can start to close your eyes, or you can just settle your gaze down. Seal your lips and start to take long, deep breaths through your nose. Without moving anything, just scan your body with your mind and notice any spaces that feel particularly tight or tense. And then making very small movements, we'll start to find our tallest seat. So the sitting bones press evenly into your pillow or whatever it is that you're sitting on. The lower belly gently draws in, the chest lifts, the shoulders relax, the shoulder blades slide down your back. The crown of the head lengthens towards the ceiling, and the chin tucks slightly. We start to build this tall seat to create space for the breath to flow. And once you've established that tall seat, take a moment to either close your eyes or soften your gaze even more, and focus your attention on the space between your eyebrows. In yoga, we call this the third eye center, or the space of intuition. And I want you to just notice if that space is cluttered right now with thoughts or feelings or just chitter chatter that sometimes comes up. And without judging it or really doing anything actively, just imagine all of those thoughts, all of that chitter chatter clearing out, almost as if you were wiping the fog off of a window. And throughout the practice today, I'll ask you to come back to this spot, bringing your focus back to the third eye center and trying to let the thoughts pass through and ultimately arrive at a place that's a little more quiet. Bringing the focus back to the breath without changing too much. Just begin to lengthen your inhales and exhales, expanding the edges of the breath as you breathe in and the belly rises, and you breathe out and the belly softens. Focusing on your breath and keeping your attention in the third eye center, the space between your eyebrows. We'll sit silently for about 2 minutes. Very good. Just gently bringing your awareness back into your body. Now comes the part where I like to lie down. Feel free to make yourself comfortable. You can lie on your back. If you have a blanket handy, that might be great to cover yourself with. Generally, as we move into deeper states of relaxation, our body temperature tends to drop. If you're choosing to stay seated, that's absolutely fine too. Just find a space where you can be comfortable for the next 20 or so minutes. And once you've settled into your seat or your lying down posture, make any final movements that you feel like you need. Of course, if you have some kind of itch or something, you're always welcome to scratch it, but as best as you can, try to find a place where you can stay still. And then once again, settle into your space. Notice the feeling of the floor underneath you. Notice any noises you may hear, anything going on in your space. And just take a moment to acknowledge it and then let it pass. As you start to turn the focus more and more inward. Notice the breath. Notice the way that the air is slightly cooler as it enters through the nose on the inhale, and slightly warmer as it leaves through the nose on the exhale. The lips stay sealed, and the eyes can be closed or softly opened. Now I want you to focus again on that space between your eyebrows, the third eye center. Wipe the fog off the mirror. And I want you to scan the phase of life that you're in right now. And notice anything that you feel could improve your life right now. Now that might be something like, I would like to be more calm, or I would like to be less anxious. And once you have that thought, that thing that would improve your life right in this moment, I want you to take that intention and change it so it's true right now. So if my example is I would like to be more calm, then my intention is I am calm. It's a short, positive phrase that you can hold on to during this practice. Once you have that intention, repeat it to yourself 3 times. Very good. Moving into an exercise called the rotation of the consciousness. When I say a body part, I want you to bring all of your attention, all of your focus to that part of your body. You might even repeat the name of the body part to help guide your focus in that direction. The body stays completely still, only the mind moves. Starting with the right side of the body, bring all of your awareness to your right thumb. Notice the second finger of your right hand, and the third finger, the fourth finger, and the fifth finger. Notice the back of your right hand, and the center of the right palm. And notice the space between your fingers. And as you take a breath in and a breath out, feel that space soften and relax. Moving up the right arm, notice your right wrist, your right forearm, your right elbow, your right upper arm, and your right shoulder. Imagine there's a tangled ball of yarn in your right shoulder. And as you inhale, send the breath into those knotted places. With your exhale, imagine the tangles releasing and the tension leaving with the breath out. Moving the awareness down the right side of the body now. Notice your right ribs, your right waist, your right hip, the top of your right leg, the quadriceps in the front and the hamstrings on the back. Notice your right knee, your right shin and calf, your right ankle, your right foot. Notice the right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and fifth toe. Take a moment to scan the entire right side of the body and notice if there are any places where you're still holding tension. With your inhale, breathe all the way down into the sole of your right foot. And with your exhale, release any tension that you might be holding on to. And just take a moment to notice the difference that you feel, or maybe you don't, between the right side and the left side. Transitioning over to the left side of the body, notice your left thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, and fifth finger. Notice the back of the left hand and the center of the left palm. Notice the space between the fingers and take a breath in and a breath out, feeling that space soften and relax. Moving the awareness up the left arm, notice the left wrist, the left forearm, the left elbow, the left upper arm, the left shoulder. Imagine that tangled ball of yarn deep inside your left shoulder. And as you breathe in, feel the snarls loosening. As you breathe out, release the tension that you're holding on to. Moving the awareness down the left side of the body. Notice the left ribs, the left waist, the left hip, the left leg, the top of the leg, the hamstrings in the back, the quadriceps on the front. Notice the left knee, the left shin and calf, the left ankle, the top of the left foot, and the sole of the left foot, the left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and fifth toe. And take a moment now to scan the entire left side of the body, noticing any spots where you still feel tension. And on an inhale, send the breath all the way down to the sole of the left foot. And with an exhale, release any tension you're holding on to. Bringing the awareness to the back side of the body now, noticing the entire spine, the backs of the shoulders, the back of the neck, the back of the head, the top of the head, the forehead, the eyebrows, the eyeballs. Notice your nose. And again, notice the temperature of the air as it enters into the nose and the temperature of the air as it exits from the nose. Notice your mouth and your chin. And notice your entire jaw. Spend a little extra breath. Try to soften the jaw as much as you can, breathing into it and exhaling. And then notice the entire body, taking another breath, noticing if the breath moves a little more smoothly, and letting go of any tension at all that you're holding on to as you move into a state of deeper relaxation. Bring the awareness back to that space in between your eyebrows, the third eye center, and notice if there are any thoughts hanging out there, or even just passing through. Without judgment, just wipe them away like you're wiping a mirror. Allow that space to stay as quiet as possible. Begin to focus on the breath in your belly. Without changing the breath, notice the way the belly rises on your inhale and softens down towards your spine on the exhale. Our next exercise is a counting exercise. So we'll start at 18 and count backwards to 0. It sounds a little something like this. 18, inhale, belly rises. 18, exhale, belly softens. 17, inhale, belly rises. 17, exhale, belly softens. When I tell you to start, you can begin counting at 18. If you lose track, get to 0 before I start talking again, or fall asleep. Just begin again at 18. No worries. Begin counting now. Very good. Letting go of the counting and moving even still into a deeper place of relaxation. Focusing again your attention on your third eye center, the space between your eyebrows. And I want you to imagine that your body has suddenly gotten very heavy. Imagine that you're covered with a weighted blanket and the weight of your body has increased by 100 pounds. Feel the heaviness in your body now. And now imagine that the weighted blanket has taken off and your body has suddenly gotten very, very light. So light that you can float up into the sky like a hot air balloon and be weightless among the clouds. Imagine lightness in your body now. Very good. Letting go of that. Now I want you to imagine that the room that you're in has gotten very dark. Even if your eyes are closed, it's like you're wearing a pair of dark, dark sunglasses. It's nighttime outside. The sky is dark. Imagine darkness now. Then imagine that you're removing those dark sunglasses. You open the curtains and you realize it's not nighttime, it's day. The bright sun streams in through the window. It's so bright that you have to almost squint because the sun is so brilliant. Imagine light now. Really good. Letting all of that go, bringing the attention back to the space between your eyebrows, back to the third eye center. Noticing if you have any thoughts hanging out there and just wiping them away with your mind so that space is nice and quiet and clean. For the next exercise, I'm going to name a series of images. And to the best of your ability, I want you to picture them in that space between your eyebrows. The nice clean slate as a backdrop so that you can picture these images. Don't worry about getting them right. There's not a right or wrong, but just do your best to imagine the things that I say. Imagine a picture frame. Imagine a blanket. Imagine a yoga mat. Imagine a book. Imagine a pillow. Imagine an umbrella. Imagine a raft. Imagine the beach. Imagine the cloud. Imagine a bicycle. Imagine a skateboard. Imagine a sneaker. Imagine a sock. Imagine a pair of sunglasses. Imagine a dog. Imagine a cat. Imagine a book. Imagine a couch. Imagine a child. Imagine a baby. Imagine a star. Imagine a cloud. Imagine a house. Imagine a door. Imagine a doorknob. Imagine a table. Imagine a chair. Imagine a pencil. Imagine a mirror. Imagine yourself in the mirror. Imagine yourself in the mirror. Imagine yourself in the mirror. Very good. Wiping that space clean again. And for the rest of this practice, for the remainder of the time, I want you to try to keep that space between your eyebrows as free from thought as possible. If any thoughts creep in there, don't judge them. Allow them to pass through. But trying to keep the slate nice and clean. And in the middle of that spot, begin to imagine a light. The light can be any color. And when you start to imagine it, it starts very small, kind of like a twinkling light that you might see on a string of lights. And your breath is what helps the light to grow. So as you inhale, it fans the light and the light starts to get a little bigger. And then you exhale and it relaxes just a little bit. So starting off with the light in the center of your eyebrows. With your inhale, allow it to grow. Feel the warmth of the light as it starts to cover your face. And then exhale and it softens just a bit. As you inhale again, the light grows, maybe touching your shoulders. Exhaling, it softens just a little bit. As you keep inhaling, the light grows bigger, covering your torso. Every time you exhale, it fades just a little, but the inhales keep it growing stronger. By now, the light has covered your whole body. It feels warm and soothing. As you keep inhaling, let that light grow even bigger. Maybe it covers the space where you're lying on. You inhale again, and it fills the whole room, sending healing energy out, warmth and comfort. As you keep breathing just at a steady pace, the light continues to grow, spreading through the entire building where you are and out into the city. You keep breathing and the light grows even bigger, spreading across the entire country, into the ocean, across the ocean, across the entire world, all the way into outer space. So big. Taking a few breaths, we'll take another 2 minutes or so, focusing on that space between your eyebrows and sending the light out into the world. Very good. Before we close, I want you to come back to that intention that you set at the beginning of the practice, if you can remember it. The example that I gave was, I am calm. You remember the phrase that you made for yourself. Repeat it 3 times now. Good. And once again, deepening your breath. Use the deepening of the breath to begin to bring the awareness back into your body. Without moving anything, take a couple of expansive deep breaths, scanning the body one more time, noticing any differences that you might feel physically, emotionally. And then as you continue to deepen the breath, use the breath to start to send energy into the limbs. You might begin to make small movements with your fingers and your toes, nice and slow. You could even take some circles with the ankles and the wrists. You might move your head from side to side, just exploring what your neck feels like, or drop your chin towards your chest and take a breath there. And if you're lying on your back, very slowly with your breath, bring one foot at a time to the floor so that the knees point up towards the ceiling. And then roll over to one side. It can be whichever side you choose, and draw your knees in towards your chest and just take a few breaths there. When you feel ready, very slowly make your way back up to a seated position. Ending the practice just like we started. You're sitting on a cushion or a pillow. And take one final scan of your body with your mind. Noticing anything that feels different, anything that might feel a little softer, more relaxed, less stressed. And if you do feel any of those things, and if they feel welcome to you, I invite you to take them into the rest of your evening and into the rest of your week. Thank you all so much for sharing this practice. It's an honor and a privilege to share this meditation practice with you. And I'm happy to stick around for some questions for the next few minutes. Take a little time to kind of come out of your meditation zen. And then if you'd like to ask a question, you can, or we can just kind of chat for a little bit. I'll turn it back over to the moderators.
Jessica, yes, thank you so much for that. That was, you could just feel the tension just like lifting off of the body. And it was just such a great feeling. It kind of just felt like things were melting away, especially when you were scanning throughout the body. I just realized there was so much tension in weird spots. I didn't even think tension existed. And so, no, I just want to say thank you again, because that was a great experience. Megan, do you want to add?
That was amazing. It's been a relatively, I would say that this week has been a little bit more stressful than most. So it felt nice to just let it all go, and to go to the Third Eye Center. That was really, I thought that was amazing. So thank you. I feel rejuvenated.
Yeah, that was really special. And
it was.
For anyone that wants to ask a question, you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question, or you can put it in the chat box, whatever method you'd prefer. So we'll ask those questions to kind of start rolling in. And while we're waiting for people to make their individual questions, I guess I can kind of start off the Q&A portion. And just ask, we were able to go through this entire guided experience. A lot of us are now indoors 24/7 for the most part. There's really there's not a lot of ways to escape what we're working with right now. So I just wanted to kind of ask, what are some of your tried and true methods that you feel would be great to incorporate a piece of this into our daily lives?
Sure. And I'm really glad you mentioned the idea about we're kind of stuck indoors right now, because I have found that both with talking to my clients and myself, we're all kind of like, I don't know what time it is. I don't know if I'm supposed to go to bed now or like eat breakfast. And
What day is it?
What day is it? Yeah.
Who knows?
Time has gotten very confusing. And I think part of it is our bodies are so in tune to the natural light and getting sunlight. And when we don't have that, you know, I've noticed on the days that I am inside the whole entire day and I don't go out at all, I have a very much harder time. Whereas if I even told someone recently, you know, like, stick your head out a window, like if you can't, because there's something about just getting a little bit of fresh air and sunlight that helps a lot to kind of recalibrate. You know, I think I have a couple of suggestions or tips to share with you today. And one of them is to kind of create as much structure as you can. And I think finding a moment to even step outside, or even if you can't step outside, just stick your head out a window or look out a window or sit by a window where the sun is coming in. Working that into your day, it can be really, really helpful. I think we have gone from lives that are for the most part extremely structured to, not that we don't have a lot still to do, because I know that we all do, whether we're taking classes or working from home, there's a lot that is required of us. But at the same time, it's sort of left to us in some ways, like, how do I make sure that everything gets done? And I, you know, have noticed with myself on the days that I like to get up at the same time in the morning, do my yoga practice, and then shower and get ready for the day. And then I feel like I have like my routine a little more. That might not work for someone else. Someone else might be like, I gotta sleep in. That's great. You know, you do you. The other thing I want to say about that is, like I said at the beginning, like, some things that might have worked a month ago for you, and you might have been like, oh, here is my go-to to deal with stress, that might not work right now. And that's okay. It's really important to just acknowledge that this is not a regular situation. And whatever you're doing to self-soothe is really valuable and important. One of those things for me, and another kind of tip on my list, is about maintaining meaningful connections. And I say meaningful because it's really strange right now. Like, sometimes it feels like I'm talking to more people than I do in real life, just because there's so much technology. You know, I'm on a Zoom call with 15 people, and then I go to another Zoom call, and then a phone session, and then I'm on social media, and then the news is on. And for me, and we were talking about this earlier, I have had a lot of conversations with people about the way that this is affecting people who are a little more introverted and a little more extroverted. And it's kind of interesting, and sad too, but both types of people, and some people are a little in between, but everyone is impacted by this. And so I can only speak for myself as someone who's a little more introverted. You know, I usually really cherish my alone time, and I am feeling like all of a sudden it's the invasion of social media and news and Zoom meetings into my space, which I normally keep quite private. So for me, that's something to deal with. Somebody who's a little more extroverted might really find it challenging not to have those connections. Like, you know, everybody's kind of struggling with this in their own way. But something that I have found is, and it took me a little while, because I thought, well, I'm talking to so many people, how am I not feeling connected? But there's a very big difference between like an administrative call on Zoom with coworkers and making time to talk to family or friends. So part of the structure that I've tried to build into my day is to finish work at a certain time. And obviously, you know, that's a privilege that I have, not everybody has that privilege. I also want to acknowledge that some people are in situations where they're caring for children or caring for family members. And so you have to do this in a way that makes sense in your life. And I'm not by any means trying to say that it's easy. But I think when you can kind of structure your time and say like, okay, I'm going to end my work day and then I'm going to have one meaningful connection before I go to bed, whether that's, you know, talking to my grandmother in Florida or talking to a friend or something like that. That has been really helpful for me because then I feel like I'm still connected with other people, even though I'm not necessarily seeing them. And then the final tip is to know when you need to check in and know when you need to check out and allow yourself to do that without judgment, right? So like I mentioned with like being an introvert and having social media all the time and constantly trying to watch the news, there's a point where I start to get very overwhelmed. Especially with the news. And there's a part of me that feels like, oh my goodness, I need to have the news on all the time because I need to know what's going on. And I don't want to miss something important. But I know for me that about an hour a day of news is really enough. There was one day where I was watching news for like 4 hours and it wasn't helpful. It just, you know, it gets repetitive. It's kind of the same thing every half an hour. And I just started to feel really anxious and overwhelmed because it was just too much for me to take in. So that's something that I realized for me is important, is being able to check out and kind of turn the TV off or, you know, log out of social media and realize that, you know, that information is available, and when I'm ready for it, I will pick it back up. But those have been things that have really been helpful for me over the past few weeks. I'm curious if anyone else has any questions or comments or just wants to, you know, say anything that's been going on for them.
Hi everyone.
Hi, Moose.
Hi,
How's it going?
How are you?
I'm okay.
Welcome back from one day.
This is really great. For me, I just wanted to make like a comment. It's really great to see all of you, but it was really great, especially because I felt like I kind of just got lost in it, and I don't know, like I think like I try to practice as much as I can, but sometimes it's just really hard because usually when I would practice in the past, like I'd do my best to like get to like a live kind of thing, but now I pretty much function off of recording, and it's not the same. So I just like I just appreciate the live guided meditation a lot, and I think that like, I don't know, personally, I've been trying to take it one day at a time because even prior to this, I didn't really have a routine. And so one thing that kind of helps me is like, I just get ready for the day in the morning, because you know, it's hard when your work is now intruding your home space. And I feel like since I can't physically leave my house, like might as well like change like what I'm wearing to try and feel as though I'm like, you know, I'm there and like at John Jay. So I mean, that's just a tip that but that's a tip that has worked for me. But yeah, I think overall I've just like, I think that I try to like remind myself to be compassionate and patient with myself, and try different things like this meditation and stuff. And I hope that everybody else is able to be like compassionate and forgiving with themselves during this time.
Thank you, Moose. You made a lot of really great points. And yeah, I think the idea about having a routine but being flexible and doing everything with compassion, that is by far the biggest thing that is helping, at least for me right now. And I said this earlier, so I'm glad you reminded me of it, that, you know, we are all feeling a lot of different things. And I read a kind of interesting article recently that said, you know, a lot of what people are feeling right now is grief. And it made me think a lot about not just the feeling of grief that I'm experiencing and that others are experiencing, but how I kind of jump to judge my grief, and how, you know, I try to practice compassion towards others, and sometimes it's a little harder to turn it inwards. But I think it's so important that whatever we're feeling right now is okay. And, you know, if you are upset because you're a senior and a lot of your senior activities have been canceled, like, you get to be upset about that. That doesn't, you know, we tend to do this thing where it's like, oh, like, my situation is bad, but someone else has it worse. And that, while that is so valid, and I think it's so important to do what we can to help other people, it doesn't negate the fact that we're all suffering. So you're allowed to be sad that, you know, the senior activity was canceled, and you're allowed to be scared, and you're allowed to be, you know, maybe not 100% every single day. That's okay. I think we need to kind of operate out of a place of compassion, as you said, and that starts with the way that we treat ourselves. So that's something that's very, very important. I also want to just say, you made a really interesting point about, like, how, you know, a lot of things are recorded right now. And I had said earlier that there's some nice, like, if people want to do this on their own and they don't quite feel comfortable just recreating some of the exercises that we did today, there are some good apps out there. There's a pretty famous one called Headspace that has a lot of recorded meditations. But you also made me think of something, which is that, you know, I also work as a yoga teacher, so I'm pretty integrated in the yoga community, and a lot of yoga offerings, and sometimes that includes meditation. That might be a class called Yoga Nidra or a guided meditation. Yoga studios right now are offering lots and lots of classes that are live online over Zoom, over Instagram, over Facebook, and most of them are either free or by donation. There might be a suggested donation, but I think in the yoga community, there's a real awareness that people are struggling financially, especially right now. So most offerings are either free or by donation. So if you do prefer to have, like, a guided meditation that's live, or even like a gentle yoga class, or even there's, like, people doing, like, Zumba, you know, I mean, all kinds of different things that you might relate to.
Nothing's off limits.
No. Yeah, not for me either, but, like, you know, it might be your jam. That's cool. Yeah, but whatever you can do to take care of yourself right now.
Thank you for sharing that. I actually didn't even think to check the place that I used to go to, because I didn't want to compromise what was, like, almost a sacred kind of thing for me. But I think that that's, like, really important to remember, because even if it's like this, even if this doesn't work for me tomorrow, like, it worked today, and I wouldn't have known that if I didn't try it. So I think, like, for people who might feel stuck, like right now I feel stuck, trying those different things, and, like, maybe that's, like, the sense of stability that I have, like, trying a new thing every day.
Yeah. That's great.
Does anyone else have any other thoughts or questions, or just how they're feeling? If anyone else wants to chime in, feel free. This is a safe space.
So I just wanted to say a big thank you to this meditation session. I've actually been trying to start meditating and doing yoga throughout this quarantine time. And I really apologize for my birds chirping here. But I really, really loved it. And, you know, like, I don't know if anyone felt that too, but I could actually feel the difference between the left and the right side when we were doing, like, scanning all of our body parts. Like I could actually feel it. And also one of the, like, I don't know if it's like the tip or anything, but I think I was reading this article about how to practice mindfulness in different ways. And I actually found out that you can like drink mindfully or eat mindfully. And it was really cool because, and then I tried it out, of course. So like when you drink or eat something, you could actually like feel it dissolving in your mouth. You can actually like taste every single like detail in that thing, and it actually makes like a huge difference as compared to just, you know, like drinking in a rush or eating. And that also, for me personally, that brings me like peace and joy, like throughout this like whole chaos that's going on.
I'm so glad you shared that. That's such a wonderful example. And that is the essence of mindfulness. So we bring ourselves back into the present by using all of our senses. So that's such a great example. Thank you for sharing.
All right. Would anyone else like to share or have any other questions? All right. Well, this was a fabulous, fabulous session. Thank you so much, Jessica, for being with us, for being our guide, for leading us through this. It was a great experience. I think I'm echoing a lot of sentiment around here. And yeah, Megan, do you want to add anything?
No,
Or?
Jessica, thank you so much. Everyone else, thank you for joining. We hope to do more programming like this. So just, if you haven't followed us yet on Instagram or Facebook and LinkedIn, please follow us because it's the best way to find out about all the new things that we're trying out. So thank you so much.
We're John Jay College Alumni Relations.
Alumni Relations.
That's right, Alumni Relations team. But yeah, with that said, Jessica, do you want to add any last parting words or?
No, just thank you all. It was such a pleasure and a privilege to spend this time with you. Have a wonderful night and take good care.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Have a great
good night, everyone.
We look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Take care.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.